Hey guys, this is Pidge, welcome to the channel. Last night's live stream was absolutely fantastic, so I just want to go over some of my comments. First, let's watch the trailer.
The day the demons found our world, the innocent were first to die. They approach your world, your Raycast. You must take the fight to them. Embrace the power of chaos. Become more than mortal. Face the nightmare. They are ravenous. They are endless. They are the Scourge.
I mean, come on, right? That trailer's pretty epic. That had me hyped up straight away. The first comment that I wrote down was, holy shit, the trailer looks amazing. And I think they did a really, really good job with that, so well done GGG. Now let's look at some of the specifics.
The Path of Exile Scourge expansion contains a lot of new content and features that we'll reveal to you today. Let's start with its namesake, the Scourge Challenge League. Upon leaving Lionai's watch, you're startled by a figure appearing out of nowhere, trying to escape from something you can't see. She hands you a rusty-looking device called the Blood Crucible and urges you to implant it into your body. As you play through each area in the Scourge Challenge League, the Blood Crucible fills with the blood spilled by monsters you have slain. Once it reaches a certain threshold, you're able to activate the device.
I like this. It's very similar to Delirium, but
This will
I
instantly
like it.
thrust you into a parallel reality, an alternate Raycast where some form of apocalyptic event is occurring. This Raycast is overrun by demons known as the Scourge. They're powerful, dangerous, and come in many forms.
My first concern was here. Just watch when they flip back to the normal realm. And my first concern was that has got real one-shot potential. Chris did say, I mean, the question was asked in the Q&A later, what happens when you actually go into the realm? And he said that the enemies get knocked back. But you'll see here that when they come back into the normal realm, that doesn't happen. The what is it? The goat is already jumping at him.
The more blood you have collected, the longer you can stay shifted into the parallel Raycast. But the longer you stay, the more damage you'll take. When the Crucible's blood runs out or you choose to shift back, you are instantly returned to your original location in our Raycast.
See, that could be a little concerning if they don't address that.
So why enter an alternate reality to fight a horde of ravenous demons? The answer to that question is exactly what you expect from Path of Exile. You're not there to save the world, you're there to find cool items. You can put an item inside the Blood Crucible. While you are killing the Scourge, it absorbs corruption from the alternate Raycast and focuses it onto the item. After enough kills, your item is ready to transform. When it does, it becomes corrupted and gains a pair of Scourged modifiers.
I noticed there that it's actually re-rolled those. If that is the exact same axe that he put in, it's actually re-rolled the modifiers, which again is a little bit concerning. Because if you want to use it to upgrade an item, you want to put in an item that already has good mods and useful mods, and re-rolling it is just another RNG layer. Let's just check if it was the same axe.
Path of Exile. You're not there to save the world, you're there to find cool items. You can put an item inside the Blood Crucible. While you are killing the Scourge, it absorbs corruption from the alternate Rayclast and focuses it onto the item. After enough kills, your item is ready to transform. When it does, it becomes corrupted and gains a pair of Scourged modifiers. One of these is a beneficial mod and one is a detrimental mod.
So it looks like that it's
These
actually
Scourged
re-rolled
mods
the
are in addition
values.
to the
It's got
regular
the same
explicit
mods on
and
it, but the
implicit
values are
mods or
different.
enchantments on the item. There are many powerful beneficial mods available.
As long
that
as
can
that's the
really
case, I'm
improve your
fine with
item.
it. Re-rolling the item
The detrimental
doesn't
mods
upgrade
can
it.
significantly raise the requirements of the item, penalize your character's stats such as resistances, or outright turn off various mechanics like the ability to deal fire damage or gain charges. The goal of the transformation process is to get a beneficial mod that makes your item a lot more powerful, while also rolling a detrimental mod.
Some
that
of
doesn't
these
hurt your build
mods
much
are
or at
going
all.
to make items
But if you get a combination you're
insane.
unhappy with, then your item is not
The
ruined.
value of
By putting it
really
back in the
particular
Blood
ones
Crucible,
will go through the
killing
roof.
even more monsters in the alternate Rayclast, you can transform it a second time, potentially getting a better pair of mods that overwrite the first. Equipment can be transformed up to 3 times, and each time it guarantees a minimum tier of beneficial and detrimental mods equal to the number of times it has been transformed. By the 3rd tier, you can start to get some very powerful effects.
That, by the way,
works
kept
on
the
already
exact same
corrupted
mods.
items, so it's possible to add
So that's
Scourge
good.
mods to items that you thought couldn't be improved any further. Talking about corrupted items, you're going to need a way to modify their sockets. While in the alternate Rayclast, you can find Tainted Chromatic Orbs, Tainted Jeweler's Orbs, and Tainted Orbs of Fusing, which work exactly the same as their regular counterparts but can only be used on corrupted items. Tainted Orbs provide a significantly
I really
easier
like
and
these, I
cheaper
just
way
thought
of
they're quite
modifying the
common.
sockets on your corrupted items than the crafting bench does. While it's obvious that Scourged items can be among Path of Exile's most powerful endgame equipment, it's worth considering the huge impact that good Scourge modifiers can have on your run through the campaign. In our testing, we often manage to Scourge items that are far more powerful than leveling uniques. As you slay the Scourge and other monsters while shifted, the Blood Crucible gains experience and can level up. You can allocate its skill points in its own passive skill screen, which allows it to specialize in many aspects such as unlocking additional item slots, faster item transformation, better transformation outcomes, the ability to transform unique items, and so on.
I mean, this is really good, right? Any customization that we can add ourselves and gives us choice in the game makes it different to other people that are playing it. It's just fantastic. I really like this addition, and it's on top of the league mechanic as well itself. The scourging of items. This is on top of that, so I think it's really good, and certainly didn't expect it.
It's possible to eventually allocate every single one of the Blood Crucible skills, but it requires a lot of demon slaying. Scourge's endgame is one where you control the level of risk and reward, or as we like to say in the business, it has a lot of player agency. Once you're exploring the Atlas of Worlds, you may gain the ability to place maps in the Blood Crucible alongside your equipment. When a map absorbs enough corruption and transforms, it gains a beneficial and detrimental effect in the same way that a piece of equipment does, but can also gain a modifier that changes the behavior of Scourge League in that map entirely. After all, when you combine 2 types of alternate realities together, the results are bound to be unpredictable. Maps can be transformed up to 10 times, increasing their risk and reward substantially each time. When a map is transformed a second or subsequent time, there's a chance that the new beneficial or detrimental modifiers stack alongside the existing ones, enhancing their power, or a chance that new modifiers are added. Be careful not to transform your maps too many times.
This is brutal.
Course,
They've gone
too dangerous.
They've gone really hard on the end game content here. People ask for it, and they're delivering with aspirational content. That being one example, and then the new Legion, the new Breach, and the Ravage Blight maps as well.
Content that we'll reveal later in the livestream. Ul Natal's Vow is an amulet that effectively enables you to turn any 6-linked body armor.
Okay, this is a monster, an absolute monster. So this is an open-ended 7-link for your chess piece. Chess piece only, so unfortunately you're not going to be able to use it to enhance, say, a 7-link bone helmet. But to be able to add essentially any gem to your already 6-link in your body armor is super, super powerful.
Into a 7-link. Support gems you socket into this amulet apply to skills in your body armor. While specific mods on items have allowed players to create 7-link skills in the past, This amulet lets you choose whatever support gem you want, including corrupted or awakened ones. It's only possible to find this unique item in specific content that we'll reveal later in the livestream.
It doesn't mention if quality counts, kind of like the way that the Hungry Loop does it. I assume it will. It does say socketed non-exceptional support gems. Not quite sure what they mean by that. And also the downsides really aren't that bad. Yes, you can't stack Energy Shield because I think in this case you're going to want to be CI, so you're going to be stacking Energy Shield because of the negative Chaos resistance. But the rest of it isn't too bad. I mean, 28 Cold Res and 8% Fire Res, you can easily outstat that.
The new Mage
Okay, this is the one. This is the chase item.
Blood Belt is one of the most powerful unique items to ever exist in Path of Exile. It permanently enables a number of your utility flasks, providing their benefits constantly with no work required on your part. This belt means that regardless of what your build is, you'll sustain your utility flasks during 100% of gameplay, even long boss fights. Mage Blood is in the core drop pool and is exceptionally rare.
That is one of the most bonkers items that has been... Actually, it's the most bonkers item that has been released since I started playing Path of Exile, which was, I think, Blight League. Yeah, we had Hateforge, but they admitted that Hateforge was broken. This one will be overpowered, but they understand that now. It's not like an abused mechanic. They understand that it's broken, shall we say, kind of like Headhunter, and but they're willing to accept that. So I can see this staying.
Early next year, we will release a huge overhaul of Path of Exile's Atlas of Worlds endgame in the 3.17 expansion. In the meantime though, our October Scourge expansion introduces a bunch of changes that speed up how quickly you can set up and progress through your Atlas. We're also introducing more types of ultra-challenging endgame content for top players who want to put their best characters to the test. In order to substantially shorten the length of the Atlas grind, we have reduced the number of regions from 8 to 4. This implicitly reduces the number of watchstones required from 32 to 16. We have also reduced the number of maps on the Atlas, so it's now approximately 100 plus the unique maps. We've rebalanced the bonuses for completing content so that by the time your Atlas is fully unlocked, you'll receive a slightly higher level of benefit than you did before. Because the number of regions has been halved, so have the number of Atlas passive trees. There are now 4 plus the Uncharted Realms.
This is really, really good. Massive fan of this. It was only last league that I was saying, well, this league actually 3.15. I think I only played for maybe 3 weeks because the Atlas burnout, it just hit me for some reason. It's obviously been building up over time, but I just didn't want to play maps anymore. It got to that point. So reducing it like this is a real step in the right direction. And then the way that they've combined these Atlas passive trees is going to be so good for customization and running the type of content that you want to run.
We've made each tree slightly larger and removed some less frequently used or duplicated skills. You'll still be awarded the same number of Atlas passive skill points as before. With these changes, each map you play constitutes far more progress than it previously did. About half as much.
Some of those combinations are going to be great.
Exile's ultimate endgame. We've made some other changes to streamline the endgame also. For example, now when you unveil a modifier, all tiers of that modifier are immediately unlocked at the crafting bench. This applies to every veiled modifier, including the very rare ones.
So originally they weren't going to unlock all of the really rare ones, but now they've turned back on that and they're going to unlock all of them. This is a massive upgrade and huge quality of life. It really is, because every league unlocking every single veiled item mod over and over again to rank up the tiers was such a grind, and they've just pretty much got rid of it. It's going to be find it once and have all of the tiers unlocked. This is so good.
Many of Path of Exile's past leagues have an endgame component that is designed to challenge the best players with the best builds. Over time, more and more of Path of Exile's experienced players have managed to defeat the game's hardest content. Our most difficult endgame content doesn't pose as much of a challenge as it once did. In the Scourge expansion, we have added a set of new aspirational content, uber versions of Breach, Blight, Legion, an extension to Delirium's Simulacrum, and a revamp of Delve.
Some of this is way
Breaches
overdue,
in-game
but
involves
now
running breach
they're
stones,
addressing
which
it.
can be placed in the map device to open portals to a breach lord's domain. For each breach lord, there are currently 4 tiers of breach stones, and you can upgrade between them using blessings. Path of Exile Scourge introduces a new tier, Flawless Breach Stones. These can't be obtained via blessings, but are instead found in the Maven encounters where you fight the breach lords in their most challenging forms. These Flawless Breach Stones require a substantially more powerful character to complete, but have rewards appropriate for their difficulty.
I like how they never show their life numbers.
Existing breach stones now have 2 random modifiers, from a pool that doesn't include build disabling ones, such as not being able to leech. And the new Flawless breach stones have 4 of these modifiers, which represents a significant jump in difficulty. They can drop special versions of the Grasping Male body armor, which has a specific fractured modifier themed around the breach lord of that domain.
Oh man.
The Ulnatol's Vow unique amulet we revealed earlier can only be obtained through Flawless breach stones.
I noticed there on the Tula Flawless Breachstone that they didn't increase the experience gain. I initially thought it would have been better than for leveling up to 100, because that's a really popular way to do it through rotas with Tula. They're not offering any more experience gain for the Flawless. There may be more monsters, so you may inherently get a little bit more XP, but it's not going to be much.
All breach stones have been modified so that the items you earn from monsters are now dropped in a spiral at your feet when you complete or fail the event. In addition, rare monsters and breach domains drop an additional random reward types such as scarabs, maps, or divination cards, with Flawless breach stones adding 2 additional reward types. All breach stones are far more rewarding than before.
And this was the next thing on my list. I mean, look at that. This is so nice because whilst you're running the breach and the things are dropping, but you're on a timer, so you just kind of have to ignore them, run past it, and then remember if there was anything decent worth going back for. And it's kind of like the same thing with Delirium, where you get to the end and then you spend all that time sort of looting the map. I know a lot of stuff doesn't usually drop in breaches, but now that they have upgraded them and increased the drop rate, this is far more appetizing. I actually may run breaches this league. I can't remember the last time I actually ran breaches. It's at least 3 leagues ago.
Blighted maps were previously our pinnacle Blight content and could be anointed up to 3 times to increase their difficulty and rewards. In the Scourge expansion, while you're playing Blighted maps, you may find a Blight Ravaged map. These have increased monster difficulty and are always monster level 85. They can be anointed up to 9 times with up to 3 of any one type of anointment. These incredibly challenging encounters can also yield one of Scourge's powerful new unique items. In Legion, you can combine up to 5 timeless emblems to enter the domain of timeless conflict. While playing the domain in this expansion, you can find unrelenting.
Those new Ravaged Blight maps are going to be ridiculous. Being able to put 9 oils on them, but also at monster level 85, you're going to need a really, really powerful build to be able to keep those monsters off the center.
Emblems, which can be mixed and matched with timeless emblems for a substantially more challenging and rewarding encounter. Delirium's Simulacrum encounter has been extended, with 10 additional waves of combat. As you can expect, these extremely difficult extra waves are very rewarding and feature escalating chances for a Delirium boss to spawn. With each wave you play, the Simulacrum now has increasing chances of dropping Cluster Jewels and past wave 20 Delirium unique items. Previously, you could only get a maximum of 1 Delirium unique item per Simulacrum, but now you can walk out with multiple high-value items such as Voices.
So, just looking at the Domain of Timeless Conflict real quick, again, all good news. If you want to make it harder, make it harder. If you don't, you don't, it's fine, it's optional. And then moving on to the Simulacrum, this is, I mean, it's all good, right? Adding another 10 waves onto the end with more chances to drop better stuff. They've also removed prophecies and talisman rewards from Simulacrum.
Delirium orbs are now a lot more common, and Delirium's rewards have been improved due to less popular ones like prophecy and talisman being removed entirely. We've made quite a few changes to Delve in the Scourge expansion. The first change is that we have completely rebalanced the entire thing so it's just more rewarding and more challenging at earlier depths. In general, monsters scale to have more life but less damage than before. We've improved monster skills and bio modifiers to make deeper depths more challenging to go with their better rewards. Due to these changes, we've wiped the standard Delve ladders but have retained your previous depth on your characters. To get back on the ladder, just play at whatever depth you are still able to complete. We've also improved the Delve catch-up mechanic. Previously, if you entered Delve for the first time at level 90, you'd be taken to a depth that is the equivalent of Tier 1 maps. Now we'll be taken to the equivalent of tier 13 maps. This means that if you want, you can essentially ignore Delve until the late game rather than having to play as you go. We've increased the base sulfite cap from 600 to 1200. Underground cities are now more common and you'll encounter bosses more often, including all. You can rarely find fractured items with Delve modifiers on them. We've also increased fossil and resonator availability throughout the Azurite mine. Fossil availability outside of Delve has been reduced. All resonators drops are now chaotic resonators, with alchemical resonators not dropping anymore. We've also improved the least powerful fossils.
Okay, all the Delve stuff is music to my ears. I don't enjoy delving, I don't like to do it, I only use it to level up or to unlock some of the crafting recipes. But now what they've done is they've taken all of those crafting recipes out of Delve and they've put them into maps, so you don't need to run Delve for that specific reason either. Delve has always been a really good way to level up. You seem to just get more XP than if you were running a map. So it's only right, I think, that they've actually tuned it up a little bit just to fall in line with that. Moving the fossil density in more towards Delve rather than other areas of the game is a really good move, because people were choosing, say, heists or farming expedition logbooks instead of actually doing Delve, where fossils really should be predominantly. So I'm kind of glad to see that, and it gives some economic power back to the hardcore delvers as well. Changing the starting point so that it actually scales to your level is just a massive positive, and also the increase in delve bosses. Like, you never see a delve boss. If you just do sort of a casual delve, maybe down to level 180 or depth 180, 200, it's quite unlikely that you will see a boss. So just to get to fight those guys more often is just a good thing.
It has been a long time since we've done a big rework of Path of Exile's iconic passive skill tree. The Scourge expansion includes quite a lot of changes, and before I list them, I want to emphasize that our goal here has been to keep the tree as similar to before as possible. All of your years of muscle memory will not be wasted. The tree will still feel like the back of your hand despite our changes.
There's just one more thing I want to mention on Delve. So they've removed the alchemical resonators so that all of them are chaotic resonators, which is really, really good. I'm happy with that. I just wish they would have done the same with essences. I feel that all tiers of essences should reforge a rare like some of the higher tier ones do. The higher tier ones already give better mods, but I think instead of using the scour essence process, they could have just made those reforge rare as well.
While planning this rework, we examined every aspect of the passive skill tree. We reviewed and improved each of the tree's class start areas, we added new clusters of skills, improved existing ones, and concentrated power more directly on each skill's primary function. The process of doing this identified that many passive skills had niche stats that didn't matter to most characters or distracted away from the purpose of what the skill was trying to do. When we took niche stats away from a skill, we buffed the primary function of the skill so that it was more concentrated on one purpose. While I'm sure that powerful passive skills sound great to you, you're probably wondering what happened to all of those niche stats. You see, while we were doing this revamp, we realized that specific build-enabling niche stats appearing in specific locations on the tree actually constrained players' passive builds in quite severe ways. Players who wanted to get several specific niche stats often had little flexibility with the rest of their tree because they had to plan around getting to the specific clusters that had those niche stats in them. We decided we wanted to solve both problems at once.
I completely agree with that. I just thought they'd done it on purpose.
Tree, but also to provide a way to get them, preferably from many different locations all over the passive skill tree. And that's how we came up with a passive masteries system. Outside of the class start locations, all passive skill clusters that have a notable passive in them now contain a passive mastery. When you allocate the first notable passive in each cluster, a mastery becomes available to allocate in that cluster. When you spend a passive skill point on
Just a note on this is amazing. I love this. More variety in builds, and I think what they're doing is they're allowing you to spend points in other areas to increase your defenses, which is pretty much what the community was asking for. Just a couple of notes on this. Intuitive Leap, if you allocate a notable with Intuitive Leap, it doesn't unlock the mastery. Similar with Thread of Hope. So you actually have to physically path to the notable.
the mastery, you can choose a specific stat to gain. This list is shared with all the clusters on the tree that have the same theme, so you can travel to any of them to get the stat you want. As you allocate a mastery stat, it's crossed off the list for that theme. This mastery system has essentially let us add hundreds of powerful new notable passives that you can access from all over the tree. In addition to the stats that we moved into masteries when consolidating power on the rest of the tree, we got to come up with a bunch of new interesting niche stuff to enable even more builds. We've also rebalanced a few keystone passives.
I mean, for me and the builds that I've been playing recently, especially in hardcore solo self-found, Mage Bane looks really, really good. I'd be interested to hear your guys' comments on that. Which builds do you see the rest of them being useful for?
Changed the locations of some, and added 6 new keystones to the tree. Overall, Path of Exile's passive skill tree is now a lot more powerful, with concentrated power coming from core passives, and a selection of build-enabling niche stats available on masteries for you to pick between. Path of Exile Scourge introduces a whole variety of new skill gems with many different purposes. 2 of them are new concepts unlike anything we have done before. These ones are designed to immediately create entirely new builds that have a lot of potential. There's also a utility skill that will help characters stay alive, a variation on an existing skill gem, and 6 new gems designed for party play. Let's go through the new skills. Energy Blade is a new skill that transforms your melee weapons into, well, energy blades. A large portion of your energy shield is converted into the lightning damage that these blades deal. This opens up an entirely new melee energy shield archetype, where you want to stack as much energy shield as possible to get the most powerful blades you can. Conveniently, the defenses rework in this expansion is very compatible with this plan.
This looks really powerful. I think we'll see a lot of people league starting this. Well, maybe not league starting it, but transferring to it in endgame when they start working on energy shield rather than life.
Temporal Rift is a new utility skill that allows you to rewind your character's state by 4 seconds. After activating the skill, it starts storing your position, life, mana, and energy shield values every quarter second. When you use the skill again, you will rerun back to 4 seconds ago.
Very Overwatch. And it was funny because watching the live stream, one of the first questions that came out was, "Does it work with cast on death?" That was probably my favorite question of the entire Q&A. The answer was no, by the way.
Uses the Forbidden Rite skill introduced in the last expansion. This skill does a lot of damage, but also hurts the caster when used. Temporal Rift allows this player to snapshot their full life orb, cast Forbidden Rite a lot, and then revert back to full life to keep casting. Not only is Temporal Rift incredibly useful in hardcore mode for obvious reasons, or while exploring maps efficiently, but it also enables some interesting tricks with mana. Come to think of it, it'll be pretty cool in Delve as well if you don't mess up the timing. Temporal Rift also prevents temporal chains from affecting you while it is in use.
The reason he said while it's in use then is because it's a mana reservation skill, so you pretty much always have it on.
Tornado is another new skill. As the name suggests, it creates a tornado that relentlessly moves towards enemies and pulses with damage. While the tornado is forming, you have a couple of seconds where it will absorb damage from projectiles you hit it with. Fire as many projectiles as you can into it during that period, and it'll power up, greatly increasing its damage output. In the Expedition expansion, we introduced a skill called Explosive Concoction. Based on player feedback, we are improving the skill so that its projectiles are thrown faster, have a higher base crit chance, and have greater speed. Now that we feel that Explosive Concoction is sufficiently powerful, we are introducing a similar new skill called Poisonous Concoction. As the name implies, this one deals poison damage rather than fire damage, and consumes charges from your life flasks rather than your elemental flasks. Poisonous Concoction scales its damage based on how much life the consumed flasks recover, which encourages you to craft your flasks to take advantage of this.
I actually wrote a note down on this one. I think this is going to be really powerful as well, both of them. Explosive Concoction just looks like mines on steroids, and I think we'll see a lot of people trying out this build at League Start. Quite excited about Explosive Concoction.
Introduce skills that only work for party play, but in the Scourge expansion, we've created a set of 6 that function in similar ways but do different things. These link skills create a bond between you and a specific party member, providing a big benefit to them while they stay within range, but with the very important drawback that if they die, so do you. Soul Link protects your target by causing a percentage of damage they are dealt to be applied to your energy shield instead. If you have built a tanky character with a lot of energy shield, then you and your target will be protected by it. Protective Link grants your target a chance to block attacks that is equal to yours, and also grants some life gain on block to them. By default, the obvious use of this Link skill is to allow you to specialize in block, and then use it to protect an ally that is specialized in something else, like damage. But there are some cool tricks you might discover. For example, the Glancing Blows keystone passive doubles your block chance, but changes that so that you still take some damage from blocked attacks. In conjunction with Protective Link though, your target will receive your doubled block chance, but won't receive the drawback. Intuitive Link is socketed alongside a spell on your character, and that spell is triggered from your target's location when they hit an enemy. This could be useful, for example, if you have a party member who's cycloning through enemies, and you can trigger your spells from within those packs of enemies without having to get close yourself. There are 3 other Link skills that we will reveal closer to release.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
As this expansion does include significant nerfs to Aura bot characters who stack auras for the benefit of their party members, these Link skills give them a viable, more active playstyle. Link skills cannot normally be used with your minions, but we're adding a minion mastery to the passive skill tree that allows you to use Link skills with them.
Is it just me, or minions recover 5% of life on minion death?
However, this has a high ongoing mana cost that is difficult to stay on top of. In Path of Exile Scourge, we've done a lot of balance work improving flasks, ailment mitigation, general character defenses, and elemental damage over time. We have made some changes to how stacking auras and curses works, and have buffed most awakened support gems. We've posted about the changes we intend in the last couple of weeks, and have been iterating on these changes based on testing and your feedback. We are posting the full Scourge patch notes after the Q&A portion of this livestream, so we'd encourage you to check out the full details of the balance changes there. Alongside Path of Exile Scourge, we're introducing the Expedition content from our last expansion into Path of Exile's core game, with a few adjustments. Expedition artifacts are no longer tradable items, which has 2 key effects. The first is that they are automatically collected as you complete expeditions, and the second is that all characters can now engage with the Calgaro merchants, without having to feel that their best plan is to trade the currency away to other players who may use it more efficiently than them.
It was a bit OP.
It's a difficult decision working out whether to make specific items tradable or not, but we feel that on balance, this new approach will solve several problems with the system. It's also worth noting that the currency items that allow you to re-roll the vendor's inventories are still tradable. You'll start finding expeditions from Act 6 onwards. There's an 8% chance for a map to contain an expedition, and they can be further augmented through investment in the appropriate Atlas passive skill tree.
That'll still be strong.
As we move new leagues to core, we will replace outdated obsolete content. In this case, Expedition replaces Perandus. Details are in the patch notes.
Who's going to miss Perandus? Comment down below. Comment Perandus if you're going to miss Perandus. I'm not.
While clicking on items is a critical part of playing an action RPG, there's a fine line before it becomes a chore, and we're trying hard to make sure that clicks on items come with appropriate reward. Expedition artifacts being automatically picked up isn't the only improvement we're making to reduce unnecessary clicks in this expansion. In order to make sure that each stack of currency items is worth a click, we're trying out a system where currency items drop less frequently, but in larger stack sizes. For example, Scrolls of Wisdom in the late game might drop 1/10 of the time, but when they do, it'd be in stacks of 6 to 14. This means that the click that you will make will gain you a much more meaningful amount of currency at once. We have applied this to many different types of currency items, and the effect of the system gets larger as you get further into the game. In addition, we've had a look at instances where item drops happen simultaneously, and we've made it so that items that can drop in stacks will automatically do so. This includes at the end of delves, incursions, rituals, blight encounters, breachstones, and the simulacrum. We have also applied this approach to many chests and areas like splinter drops throughout Path of Exile. Before we move on to our
I think everyone's going to be happy about that. Let's click in more stacks, and they've also added stacks for certain items in the game. So I think Incubator's stacked now, which is a bit weird because different item levels. Fragments now stack as well, and there may be some other things, but all in all, really, really good. Me and the people on the stream all came away from that feeling really, really excited for the league, confident that GGG are listening, taking the community seriously. They have their vision. We play their game. But if they're willing to listen and compromise where they can, then that's the best we can ask for. So, well done to the team. I think they've done a fantastic job with this. I hope it plays as well as it looks. I hope the launch goes well. I'd love to hear your feedback down below. Once I get my hands on the skill tree, I will be doing something about minions, because Obviously there are concerns, and now I also have my concerns about aura stacking. You know, the removal of elemental equilibrium as well may affect the coal conversion versions of them as well. But without the numbers, it's really hard to speculate just by how much the builds can be reworked to compensate. Aura stacking will certainly take a hit. So we'll see with time. Thank you for watching. I look forward to reading your comments, and I will see you all in 3.16. Peace out.